Hey, everybody. Trying to get the scene straight. I had everything still set for Dorian. I posted the multi-stream link so you can watch Nathan and me at the same time. We were really hoping that this storm was going to try to do something. It's not looking quite as good. I mean, it's got some rotation in it, but it's not looking all that great. Oh, feeling a little bit better. I tell you what, I tell you what I did. My son's a truck driver, right? Well, a couple of days ago, wasn't nothing happening. I didn't think Nathan was going to go chase there yesterday, and so day before yesterday, I jumped in the semi with my son and went on a short trip. We had to pick up near Indianapolis, and we drove to Detroit to deliver. But then his boss changed our plans, and so we went from Detroit through Toledo down to Columbus, swapped out trailers, and then got to come home. And it was too late for me to help Nathan last night. First time I've been in a semi in 12 years. My son, by the way, is third generation truck driver. So he followed in my footsteps. Yeah, it was great to get out of this apartment. I mean, it's been 2 years since I've done anything. 2.5 years since the last time me and him took out, and we went storm chasing then. But and as you can see on Nathan's stream, man, he's got tons of lightning, but daggone suns went down. The cell is, and I'll zoom in on it here, it is out here by itself. I got to give him a report here. 3.25 inch hail, 100 severe. Looks like she's moving about 20 knots right now, 65 dBz. Still 3.25. Yeah, I haven't got an update actually on the DBZ yet, so yeah, it's definitely picking back up. And it's not doing that right turn like it was earlier when it had a good rotation in it.
It looks like it's kind of heading right for North Platte.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right now it is. It kind of took a little bit of a left turn because before it was going to go like halfway between North Platte and Lexington. So, yeah, that was really cool to get back in the semi again. Of course, I can't drive, but not anymore. But we had a good time. But his next trip is going to be Friday, and that's going to be from here in Southwest Ohio. Well, I should say Greenville, Ohio is where he's got to pick up, and that's going to be like West Central, to Laredo, Texas, and most likely from there, driving clear to California, deliver, pick up produce, and come back to Ohio. And I don't think I can make that trip. But yeah, I stayed off stream and got my throat a lot better. I wanted to stream and say goodbye to Dorian. That daggone thing. I tell you what, though, folks, I did predict that right. Remember, like 2 or 3 days ahead. Hey, Clark, Doc, and Southpaw. I predicted, well, I forecasted that it would hit the Outer Banks. And a few hours before it did, even the Weather Channel, their top people said, no, it's not going to make landfall. Now, one thing I want to explain to you guys, there's a difference between a direct hit and landfall. Direct hit is when the eye wall crosses over land. Well, it did, but landfall is when the center of the hurricane actually makes landfall. And so I had predicted that, it would make landfall there in the Outer Banks, and sure enough, it did. Even though Weather Channel said, no, it's not going to make landfall. I got them. I was watching that thing wobble. I just knew. I quit looking at the models at that point. Yeah, I knew it was going to go up there and hit Halifax and Newfoundland. And yeah, Clark, I was kind of playing with Kyle when I said it was going to hit that one town, because it did wobble closer to the shore, and it looked like it was going to hit that one town. And he should have bet me. He when I said on Zello there to Jen, I said, "Hey Kyle, we got a bet going," and he got quiet. He should have bet me because I lost on that one. But my original forecast was right around Cape Hatteras and there at the Outer Banks, and by golly, that worked. Yeah, I'll pull one on Kyle, and he chickened out on me. I don't know if he got upset with that or not, but because he would have won if he would have bet me steak dinner, he would have won it, and I would have paid it. But I was just kind of playing games with him. It was funny. I was having a good time that night. So anyway, we got the storm chase with Nathan. This thing had rotation in it. It was really nice. And let me transition over to analyst. And as you can see here, there's really not any good rotation in it. Not any bright greens and reds together. There is some rotation, but yeah, by golly, it's starting to get a hook on the core. Trying to hook around. Two different color reds. It's got rotation in it. But while we're waiting for Nathan to reposition, I want to go ahead and show you something else, because I've been keeping an eye that like it says down there on the ticker, on 95L and 94L. And let me go ahead and show you those real quick. Now right here's 95L, and that's in the Southern Bahamas. 70% chance. I'll zoom in on it for you. Well, let me get the pointer off the screen. That's that red box there. And the models aren't real close yet. It looks like, according to the Euro, it's going to start getting tighter rotation over top of Florida. That's not a good thing. But it does kind of show it moving into the Gulf up there around the panhandle of Florida. So I got to keep a close eye on that. Now, the GFS has it a little bit further west, like Mississippi, Alabama area. And a lot weaker. But we'll keep an eye on that since they bumped that up to 70%. Hey, Rick. Now, this is 94L, where this yellow X is. But they have dropped that down to a 0% chance. But now we got to watch this one coming off the coast. And that one's got a 40% already. So I got to keep a close eye on that, because that's headed for the Lesser Antilles. And that's the same path that Dorian took. Now, something I didn't get to show you guys, it's too late now. Excuse me. But when Dorian made landfall and went up the coast, I started looking at sea surface temperatures because I seen these other tropical waves coming, and no, cyclones do not form in the. Oh, do they form in the Atlantic? I thought that said Antarctic. Can't read. They are all considered tropical cyclones. Okay, the term cyclone is not used in the Atlantic. Or when they get up to that kind of force, they're not cyclones. They're considered hurricanes. When they get over like around Japan and that, and over in the Pacific, they can consider them typhoons. But as far as cyclones, that's a broad term because, like right now, this has got a 40% chance of turning into a cyclone or a rotation, a cyclic rotation of a low center. Right now, they're just a tropical wave. And I'll back out here. And now this is 95L. And you can see it's already starting to show a track on it. This is the infrared satellite. And it's trying to get some rotation in it. It's been a tropical wave up until today. Not rotating, disorganized. It's still fairly disorganized, but let me put this in motion. It's going to flicker till it loads up all the tiles. But all rotating tropical storms, once they get to a certain strength, they will be considered a cyclone because they're cycling, they're rotating. That's the easiest way to explain it. There you can see it in motion. Now it's got, I'm going to pause this, and it's got, let me switch colors here. It's starting to get these outer bands already, the inflow and outflow bands. And you can kind of see some of the rotation. It's pretty broad and disorganized, but it's right in that area. Oh, you wasn't able to see that. I got to bring it down to another window. Okay, I'll pause this again. You can see these outer bands up here. And plus you've got some rotation like right in there. Yeah, that's true. Well, in some areas they're called typhoons, like you get over Japan. Now in Eastern Pacific, they're still considered hurricanes. You get in the Western Pacific, they classify those as typhoons. But that thing's got some pretty strong thunderstorm cores in it. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Now, 94L is back here. This is the one that they're on a 5-day. They're only giving 0%. But we got this wave. Let it load up here. Well, I'll just stop moving on it. This area right in here is where the next tropical wave is. That they're already giving a 40%, and they say it's going to head right across here over towards the Lesser Antilles. So I got to keep a close eye on that one because that's, like I say, it's the same path that Dorian took. The only difference is that let me show you all here. There's a Bermuda high, All right. Now let me do it. Hang on a sec. Thing is. Here we go. There's the Bermuda High. There's a Bermuda High up here. There's another high up here in the southeast. So that's going to kind of keep these storms pushed south, and it's got to get around those. And you can see these tracks, these red dots, are some of the model forecasts. It's going to squeeze around the west side of the high systems. And that's probably what's going to happen to that area to watch coming across towards the Lesser Antilles. These highs will keep it pushed south, and so it's the only direction it's got to go is to the west. So unlike Dorian, turn that off, and I'll zoom in here a little bit. Unlike Dorian, which when it got over here, then it came this direction. Where with this a pair of highs, it's going to keep them pushed south, so they're going to go this way. And daggone, it still ain't showing it. What the heck? Hang on here. Ah. It's not working. Why do you think Dorian spun up to such a power storm? Is because it stayed over bathtub warm water. And when it really slowed down, the more time that a tropical storm spins over really warm water, the warm water is the fuel. So that's what let it, get stronger. Plus the fact that, and one reason why it stopped in northern Bahamas is you had a high to the east and a high to the west. And so one shoving up, one shoving down, it didn't have nowhere to go. So it stuck right over the Grand Bahamas, Abaco Islands. And all it could do was sit there and get stronger. But I knew it was going to get weaker because, for one, the waters there were fairly shallow on the north side of Grand Bahamas. And once it sucked up that shallow warm water, then all it could do was upwell the cooler water further deeper in the sea. And that's the reason why we knew it was going to start weakening once it started moving. What got me interested in weather patterns? I've been chasing storms since 1981. Of course, back then we didn't have radar, like I do now, but I chased tornadoes. Well, I helped a really good friend of mine. He's no longer with us. Kelly Williamson was chasing some hurricanes as they was making landfall. And so that got me helping him. So I started taking courses for not only severe weather, with the tornadoes and whatnot, but also for the hurricanes. So I got more and more interested with weather patterns. Now, one thing I could tell you over there in the UK, a lot of times, especially a couple of years ago, I got a good friend that lives in Ireland too, and some there in the UK. What you'll see sometimes, and my program's not working right, but daggone, I need to demonstrate this. Try this. Okay, a lot of times what will happen is our hurricanes will end up going up you know, somewhere, whether they make landfall or not, they'll go up that east coast. Well, then they're going to catch the jet stream up north. And what will happen is they'll go way up north. Let me turn the satellite off here a minute. They'll come up here way up north, and then they'll come down. So a lot of times I've been able to help some of my friends over there. It won't show me clear over there to England. But Dorian died really quick after it got, way up to the north, up by Greenland and that. But a lot of times it'll go up, and it'll catch that upper jet stream way to the north, and that will bring it right back down. So especially if we've got a trough here in the States, that brings the jet stream down like this and then up. Well, whenever there's a trough, there's a high that's causing a ridge. So what you'll see a lot of times when we got that jet stream that's going up this way, it's going to come down over your way, because you're going to end up with you'll end up with a trough. It'll be like a wave. You'll have these waves. When we got a trough over here, it causes, especially with a Bermuda high, that'll be, down here in the ocean, down in here, that causes the ridge. Well, after the ridge, there's got to be another trough, another dip in the jet stream. So a lot of times we'll get tropical storms here that'll ride that jet stream, and it'll end up coming over there around Spain or England or Ireland. Now, a lot of times what I do, even for back in the spring, watching the weather, trying to prepare what kind of storms coming next that's going to produce severe weather, I'll look at the water vapor. And let's go over to the Goes West satellite. Like right here, you can see a swirl. That's going to be our next storm system. Hey, thanks for the host, Molly. That's going to be our next storm system. And I'll follow that, and I'll watch that. And a lot of times, especially in the spring, something like this will end up traveling down. So I can kind of see ahead of time, like these storms tonight, you can see right here. You look real close, notice how these clouds are like this. That's where the low is. And remember, lows rotate counterclockwise. So that's what's causing these storms out there that Nathan's chasing. So now I'll stop and look at this next one and keep an eye on the pattern for it to see if it happens to drop down in the same area, which I do believe. I haven't looked at the Storm Prediction Center, but that's possibly going to cause some more storms here in the next day or two. Is this job or hobby? This is totally hobby. I'm actually disabled. That's the reason why I'm not out storm chasing anymore. And so I do this. I run radar. This is normally what I call behind the scenes as I'm helping the storm chasers. And it's totally a hobby. The only way I make any money off this is with your donations. That helps me pay the bills and keeps me up and running. I wish I could get paid for this. Actually, I'm working on a possible idea. Let's get back here on Nebraska. I'm working on a possible idea for the company that my son drives semi for, to where I'll be able to help all of their truck drivers, because they drive all over the U.S. And especially with winter coming on, I will be able to help those truck drivers, give them information, because I also took classes on winter weather, which is when you're looking at radar, that's a totally different animal. And so I'm working on a deal where I could possibly get paid from a trucking company and be a weather consultant to help their truck drivers plan their trip. I'd done that in the past for a friend of mine that was a truck driver, and actually I saved him from possibly being involved in a very bad accident in the wintertime. I was able to warn him that there was blizzard conditions ahead of him, and I could see it on radar. And I told him, I said, man, you need to get off the expressway. And he did. And right after he got off, just a couple miles up the road, there was a real bad accident. Multi-vehicle, several semis crashed and flipped over. So I was able to keep him out of trouble. So I'm thinking about trying to do that as a weather consultant. There's actually some people who have left the Weather Channel, and three that I know of that used to work for the Weather Channel, and they started a weather consulting firm out in California for some big major companies, and that's what kind of gave me the idea. Sometimes it's pretty hard for me to keep up with it. I don't want to do it right now for a whole lot of drivers because my main dedication is to my storm chasers. So that's my main dedication. But no matter what job that I did in the past, uh, weather has always been a passion for me. It's been a love, and ever since I was a kid, and my first involvement with tornadoes was the uh, tornado outbreak back in 1974, where Xenia, Ohio, got hit, and I'd lived pretty close to there, and there was another tornado separate that came within a few miles of me, and then 1981. I got my ham radio license, and I started storm chasing after that. So I've done a lot of tornadoes. But now I can't travel that much, so I can't get out there and do what I want to do. But I love running radar. I do radar and road support. Like right now, Nathan, hollers at me and asks me for a road. I can look it up. I actually tracked his progress. You can see right here. I know exactly where he's at, and I can look at the roads. Like right now, he's south of North Platte, approaching State Route 83. And this is a storm. Yeah, I got quite a system here that I use to help these guys. Let me see if I can find that picture for the new folks. And thanks to everybody for joining me that uh, just followed me. Yeah, I bet. Let me see if I can find this picture. I always forget where I put it. I got a picture of my computer system here. I'll show you. Yeah, I've had tornadoes. I was chasing one tornado up in northwest Ohio, and while it was a funnel, it wasn't on the ground. But I did have a sister that dropped down, actually hit the ground just on the right side of me. So while I'm following a funnel cloud, then an actual tornado came down out of the same storm and about nailed me. In 2012, I actually got hit by a tornado at work. Oh, let's see here. I really need to get my pictures organized. Thanks for the follow, iPhone. And everybody else. Do. Okay, this is not an up-to-date picture. Because what you can't see is over on the left side wall. I actually got another monitor mounted on the wall. So altogether, I run 11 monitors. I got a 12th one, but I don't have a way to mount it just yet. And to the far right, that's actually a television, which I can make into a monitor. So I run 11 monitors. And when I'm helping a storm chaser, I'm using every one of them. Actually, tonight I'm only using 10. One of them died on me. The one on the top right died on me. Yeah, my good friend that's no longer with me, I helped him, Kelly Williamson. I helped him for years, even before Storm July. And, he had a lot of people in his chat said, "Who's that voice? Who's that person we can't see? We keep hearing this guy. Who is he?" So Kelly talked me into start streaming, and so I called it Behind the Scenes. And like with that link that I shared earlier, you can watch Nathan and me, so you get to see the chase, and you get to see behind the scenes of what goes on while I'm trying to keep him safe. And that's basically what I do. I'm trying to keep the chaser safe, get them in the right spot, giving up to date information. Hey, Cabin over on YouTube. Coming through Missouri tomorrow? Yeah, most likely, yeah. Yeah, the low's up in Wyoming, but I do believe with the jet stream that's going to drop down to Missouri tomorrow. I haven't really got a chance to look at the models for tomorrow. I've been pretty busy with personal life today, so. So there's just nothing but a whole lot of lightning with this thing right now. It's totally lost all of its rotation. And here I'm looking at storm relative velocity and looking for rotation in it, and I'm not seeing any. So it's just turned into a lightning storm. By the way, for you people that is watching me over on YouTube, as of October 1st, I will no longer be streaming on YouTube. Me and YouTube are having battles. They deleted a bunch of my past videos for no reason. There was nothing illegal in them. And they banned me on one picture or one video from my live stream. And I was playing free elevator music. And they banned it because of the music. And it was free music. So, as of October 1st, I've already warned them. I will no longer be streaming there. And please come over to Twitch. We have so many people on Twitch. You can join in the chat there and have a lot of fun. And if you're having issues with Twitch, let me know. Send me a private message or something, and I'll help you out and get you switched over. You would rather have snow, Kevin? That's a terrible four-letter word. Good thing Becky is not in my chat. She might ban you for that. Don't want to see no snow yet. It already cooled off about a week or so ago. And it made my bones ache. Yeah, YouTube just money grabbing big shot. Yeah, they are. And I don't know why, because I've looked at people who had 6 years or more worth of videos from their live streams, and they deleted all but 2 years. There's 2 years worth of videos on YouTube from my live streams. They deleted like 2.5, 3 years of my work, some of my early years. Hey, glad I was able to help you. Spirit thunderstorm watch at Middle Wisconsin. Wow. When I drove truck, rarely did I run into any bad storms, any bad mesos. Okay, Raven. Hope you get feeling better, man. Hey, Invest 16 over on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Like I say, if you would, please join me over on Twitch, because YouTubers, I won't be live streaming as of October 1st. So if you go to twitch.tv/bgraydwx, it's the same as what it is on YouTube, bgraydwx, but it's twitch.tv/bgraydwx. And be sure to give me a follow so I know you came over. I got to take a little pause, and I'll be back. Looks like you smoked weed. No, I don't smoke pot anymore. Back in the 60s, yes. Yeah. I'm too old for that crap. The tropical wave coming off Africa, like I say, it's headed for the Lesser Antilles. It's still way too early to tell. So, yeah, I think pretty much everybody I know smoked weed in the 60s and 70s. I got COPD real bad, and it would help my cancer and my Parkinson's. But I can't smoke it because of COPD, and they're still trying to get medical marijuana. I mean, it's already approved here in Ohio, but they're being jerks. I only did that once. Only did Purple Haze once. Didn't like it. I was young and dumb. I'm 62 years old now, so I'm too old for that crap. I got to take a little pause here. I'll be right back, folks. Please stay with me, and I'll be right back. Something I got to do real quick. Okay, Jane, you have a good night. Thanks for joining me tonight. I didn't do Bill Clinton. I used to inhale. That was when I was young. So anyway, let's get off the marijuana talk. I do have kids watch me, by the way, so. I'm kind of a role model. Hey, down there in Houston. Thanks for joining me, Jolly. If you're talking about the one to the southeast of Florida, that's Invest 95L. And it's trying to get circulation in it, but at this time it's only a tropical wave still because it's disorganized. So it's not considered a depression. It hasn't got that designation yet. Invest 95L. Invest stands for the investigation of it. No, I track weather all over. We have like 200 or maybe a little more now, storm chasers from Long Island, New York, all the way to Seattle, Washington. So we track weather everywhere. I mainly don't focus on the storms in the Pacific unless they're headed for Hawaii. But I track all storms in the Atlantic as well as severe weather clear across the United States. And I had a question asked recently in private message. I am not a meteorologist. I'm a weather analyst. Parts of North Carolina didn't. They had a lot of tornadoes, which, like I've told several times, the outer bands on a hurricane will produce tornadoes. They're usually quick spin-ups, but there was a lot in North Carolina that got tornadoes. Yeah, Clark, that one got pretty nasty. I'm trying to watch the chat over on Nathan's stream too. Yeah, they get some pretty nasty tornadoes in Nebraska, and this year, oh man, South Dakota. There was one last night. I think it was up around Sioux Falls. I seen some of the damage video today from up there around Sioux Falls area. They got nailed with a tornado last night. It was after dark too. Hey, thanks for the new follow, Jolly. But this is basically what I do. It's this storm that Nathan's watching. Oh man, this thing's really fell apart. It's a little too early to tell on 95L. Um, the one model, actually, I would say yes because it has it forming a tighter circulation about the time it hits Florida, and that would be into Miami. So keep a close eye on it. But the GFS model has it shifted further west and then going up. So if it does that, then it'll miss Miami. But they're going to have some heavy rains there regardless. I mean, some areas is like 3 to 5, maybe more inches of rain from this thing. Now, remember, when it comes to tropical storms, the worst part, like let's say the storm's moving north, the upper right-hand quadrant of the storm is typically the worst. And so even if the thing goes on the Gulf side of Florida, the thunderstorms on the outer edges of it is going to cover Florida. So there's going to get a whole lot of rain and some storms out of it, irregardless if it forms into a tropical cyclone or not, or even a depression. Just at the point that it is, it's fairly wide. So keep a close eye on it. If you're flying to Miami, stay in touch with who you're booking your flight through for any updates on it. If it starts to strengthen, I will be doing broadcast on it. So now we got to keep an eye on that. 94L, I think they're going to drop that tonight because it's had a zero chance for quite a while. That one's a little closer to the Lesser Antilles. And the wave coming off of Africa, depending on these high pressure ridges set up in the southeast U.S. and the Bermuda High, most likely that is going to keep going west. So that'll go across the Lesser Antilles and hopefully won't hit Puerto Rico and down in that area. At this point, it doesn't look like it's really got a chance to take the same path as Dorian because we don't want it hitting the northern Bahamas. So far it looks like between the two highs, the Bermuda High and the one in southeast U.S., unless the area between them weakens, that will give it a chance to turn north. But the way it's looking right now, with both of those highs, both ridges will be strong enough. The only way it's got to go is west. High pressures dominate low pressure systems. So I'll be keeping a close eye on all of the Atlantic. And if something looks a little gnarly, I'll come back up and stream it. Uh, oh man, Dorian, when it set over top of the Grand Bahama Island and the Abaco Island, which is the northern end, uh, it just totally wiped out. The highest point on those two islands was 15 feet. And they were getting storm surges over 20 feet, plus 185 mile per hour winds with wind gusts over 220. So they got bad wiped out. 94L and 95L mean whenever the National Hurricane Center starts to investigate a storm, they'll give it an invest, short for investigation, and they number them by 90 through 99. Okay, so invest 94L, which the L stands for the Atlantic. If it had a W, it'd be over in the Pacific. An E would be an East Pacific. But the number is just to, instead of giving it a name because it's not strong enough for a name yet, they just give it a number, and the number goes from 90 to 99. Once they get to 99, they go back to 90, start all over again. And like I say, the L tells me that it's in the Atlantic. And again, invest just tells you that they are investigating it. They're keeping a close eye on it. Once they give it an invest designation, then they can start running more and more models, not only the European and GFS, but a whole bunch of models. And then they'll start really, eyeballing it and tearing it apart and trying to figure out what it's going to do. Now, once it gets strong enough, then it'll become a tropical depression. And at that point, they'll give it a name. Oh, you're welcome, Clark. That's what I'm here for. I not only do, the running radar for the storm chasers, but when you're all watching me, I try to explain everything so you can understand and hopefully help you to stay safer. Yeah, it's a tropical disturbance or a tropical wave. It's a disorganized low pressure system without circulation. Because I'm 62 and I'm too old to go back to college. If I was, like back when I was in college, if I would have had an opportunity to go to a college to learn meteorology, I would have. I'm also a big lover of engineering, so I went to college for electrical and mechanical engineering as well as CAD. And because that was another true love of mine, I like to create things and make things. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Work with CAD every day. Which CAD program do you use? The main one I used was AutoCAD. Matter of fact, I still have it. Very expensive program. I think when I got it, it was like $3,000. Oh yeah, SolidWorks. I used to do some work with SolidWorks a long time ago. Well, thanks, South Paul. I try. I try to bring it down to where everybody can understand it, because you watch the Weather Channel or your local news. Well, local news don't go into depth. Uh, but the Weather Channel, they do a really good job. But sometimes the way they explain it, for one, they go through it pretty fast, and for two, it's way over a lot of people's heads. Hey, Aaron, what's up, man? Aaron Edwards, one of our storm chasers at Stormview Live. Let me show you all something, since we've been talking tropical weather. Yeah, I decided to go for electrical mechanical engineering, so that way I covered both. I've always, since I've been in ham radio since 1981. Actually, I started in 1980, but uh, because of the electronics involved with ham radio, that's the reason why I got into the electrical side of it. Yeah, AutoCAD, back in the 90s, AutoCAD was one of the top ones. I used to have a lot of add-ons for AutoCAD. They only taught us 2D in college, but I started getting into 3D, and actually I went to my professor after class, and I was teaching him how to do 3D in AutoCAD. So it was pretty funny. I think we started on version 10. Got your ham license in 94. Cool. But here I'm looking at this page is tropical tidbits, and right here I'm looking information for Infest 95L. Now here is the global model so far, and you can see they go all over the place. So I mean, I don't really trust this UK one, the blue line. We don't use that one a lot. It's just added to the list. But you can see how several of those are coming up through the Miami and then going into the Panhandle. So just got to keep a close eye on it. It's a little bit too early yet. Now here's the GFS spaghetti models, and you can see they're pretty much, well, it wasn't like this earlier, but I see now at this latest run, it's skirting across the Miami areas on most of the spaghetti models. So, but they have it going more, like over around Mobile, New Orleans. So, but I look at the Euro model first, and then the GFS last. Now, another model that I like using is called the HWRF, and this is the model run so far for 95L, and I'll go ahead and play it here. You really can't see much because it's so disorganized. So right here I'm looking at the models for a possible tropical storm. Now see, that model is too early to use it yet. But that's something that I do on a daily basis is I'll start looking at all the models for all the storms and to see what's going on. So I kind of first thing in the morning, before I actually lay down and go to sleep, about 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around in there in the morning, I'll start going over the models and trying to look ahead to see what's going. Like, even though Nathan hadn't told me he was going to storm chase tonight, I pretty much knew because I started looking at Storm Prediction Center and started looking at the models, and I pretty well figured that he was going to chase since it was, right close to home. Yeah, when that gets down to below 1,000 millibars, I really start getting excited. Then I know it's trying to do something. Typically, as far as the model runs, uh, I use College of DuPage and Pivotal and Tropical Tidbits. Hey, could you post a link for that, Southpaw? I don't have Colorado State. I'd appreciate it. Now, what you're looking at here, this is the infrared satellite. So I can see whatever is going on here. Right here, this is 95L. And there's Florida. So we got to keep a close eye on that. Oh, you're talking about the RAM MB? The satellite page? I thought you was talking about a models page. You're talking about this one. What I really like about RAM MB is that you can see visible satellite even after dark. Yeah, that's color. RAM MB is Colorado State. There's the lightning overlay over top the satellite view. So you can see where all the intense lightning is. It's really cool. And I love that they finally added the Go 17, which is the west satellite. For the longest time, all we had was Go 16 on that page, which is the east satellite. Hey, Nathan's right around North Platte. These are all the storms that's all across western Nebraska. So, folks, looks like the chase is done. I've given you my info for tropical weather. Thanks for all the new folks that joined me tonight. And if you like what I do and would like for me to keep coming to you, if you can, you don't have to, but if you can, please donate. Living on disability, this is a very expensive hobby that all comes out of my pocket, except for your help. So if you can, I appreciate either bits, subs, which, by the way, this is September. Twitch Prime sub is 50% off all this month. So, and I think you get extra bits and stuff with it. I'm not positive about that, but I know it is half price the whole month of September. And also, you can personally donate to me that either paypal.me/bgradewx or streamlabs.com/bgradewx. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow night. I don't think there'll be a storm chase, but with this Invest 95L, I'll start investigating that early in the morning. So probably around 8 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow night, unless there's something, really cool that I need to talk about, and then I'll come on earlier. But to start out with, and for all you new folks, by the way, like with Hurricane Dorian, the closer it got to landfall, the more streams I did per day, and kept everybody updated with the latest and greatest up-to-date information. But I plan on streaming again tomorrow night around 8 o'clock Eastern time, and I'll be able to keep you all updated with all the models and try to figure out what this thing's doing. And accurate. I try to be accurate. I do research multiple places of information to try to put, a complete package to you. And there's no hype. I only give it to you like I see it. There's no hype. So thanks for joining me, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow night. Y'all have a good night. Catch y'all on the next broadcast.